The Yugoslav wars were some of the most devastating conflicts in the post-Cold War era, with mass ethnic cleansing, genocide, and general war crimes because, it's the Balkans. The most brutal of which was the Bosnian War, where paramilitary units like the Scorpions and Bosnian Serb army perpetrated many war crimes, as I had just mentioned, and they reported to Ratko Mladic, who was an absolute maniac. Anyway, a year after the Bosnian War ended, in late 1996, Zairean President Mobutu Sese Seko apparently sought the help of Executive Outcomes, which was a South African private military company which had already worked in Angola and Sierra Leone's civil wars. He would, however, refuse their offer after deeming their price to be too high. Instead, Mobutu opted to go for mostly former fighters of this Bosnian Serb army, which were basically War Crimes R Us. This became the White Legion and was employed by Mobutu during the First Congo War of 1996 to 1997. The Mercenaries consisted mostly of members of the 10th Sabotage Detachment of the Bosnian Serb Army, and although the unit had been nominally Serbian while fighting in the Bosnian War, it also consisted of ethnic Serbs, Croats, and Bosniaks, and would report directly to Ratko Mladic. Russians and Ukrainians would also fight in this detachment. However, the White Legion would also have numerous French and Belgian mercenaries who wouldn't get along very well with their Eastern European counterparts. The White Legion was commanded by Colonel Yugoslav Jugo Petrusic, also known as Dominic Hugo. Petrusic had strong connections to the French Direction de la Surveillance du Territoire, and therefore managed to obtain the mercenary contracts a lot more easily. Lieutenant Milrad Pelemis was the deputy commander of the White Legion, and he had previously served as the commander of the 10th Sabotage Detachment during the Yugoslav Wars, and was a junior officer to Petrusic. During the First Congo War, the White Legion was deployed at Kisangani on January 14th of 1997, and was tasked with protecting the city's airports and providing air support to their allied troops. They also started training the Military Intelligence Forces Services, or SARM, on unarmed combat and firearms usage of the AK-47, M53, and Dragunov sniper rifles for Mobutu's forces. However, the Serb mercenaries in Kisangani were soon sick with dysentery and malaria. They would also have difficulty coordinating with Zaire's army as they didn't speak French or Swahili. Furthermore, they reported to have been often drunk and frequently harassed civilians. Petrusic also became very notorious among the locals. He drove around in a jeep and shot and killed 2 preachers who he felt annoyed him by using megaphones, and Petrusic also tortured many civilians with electric shocks from car batteries and bayonets after suspecting them of being infiltrators. It's almost like hiring a bunch of Serbian war criminals from Yugoslavia isn't the best look for Zaire. The French mercenaries under Christian Tavernier were located at Wasta, a town without any strategic importance. Tavernier had obtained mining rights there, but was mostly spending his time at the Melding Hotel in Kinshasa. As time passed, the relations between the Serbs and the French mercenaries would also deteriorate, with French troops accusing the Serbs of the White Legion of constantly doing a lot of nasty stuff because Serbs know how to do ethnic cleansing, and also they claimed they were amateurs. And when the fighting started, the Serbs would fail to give air support to any of the French mercenaries. Rebel forces would attack the French mercenary positions at Wasta on February 2nd, 1997, and force the mercenaries to retreat. On March 1st, the mercenaries were tasked with defending their main air base in Kindu Airport, where the rebels attacked them again and took over the base. Soon thereafter came the village of Babagulu, which was defended by the French and was attacked and taken over again by rebels. The rebels would thereafter plan to march on Kisangani. The White Legion would mainly fight defensively, trying to keep control over settlements by laying minefields and using other explosive charges. The only action in which they used a full frontal attack on the enemy was on March 10th and 11th, when they attacked rebel forces advancing on the road between Kisangani and Bafwasende. In this action, they would manage to push back the rebels by 5 kilometers. However, in the end, the White Legion would be defeated in the Battle of Kisangani in mid-March of 97, 5 days after their earlier successes. During their defense, they would manage to inflict very few casualties or injuries. Shortly before the fall of the city, the mercenaries would destroy their headquarters with explosives to prevent the opposite side from capturing any of their ammunition, and a lot of the Serbs and French would then leave. And that is the story of the White Legion. Did you know about them before this video? Is there anything that I left out or should have talked more on? Write in the comments, and thank you for watching.